Hi there everybody, this is David, and if y'all thought that 2025 was a good year for RPGs, well, 2026 is right around the corner, and it is really shaping up to be one for the record books too. So whether you're a fan of turn-based RPGs, action, strategy, or like me, all of the above, there is definitely something out there for you. And today I want to go over 15 of my most anticipated RPGs that are coming out sometime, hopefully, in 2026. We only have certain release dates for some of these, but they've all been announced. We don't really have, concrete release dates for a lot of them, but hey, if they're announced, I'm gonna go for it. And I definitely do think that's worth a sub as you come and you join a party and you level on up with me. Your sub, your like, and your hype helps me out so much, y'all. Thank you so much for everything. You have just been the best audience a guy could ask for. So now, let's go ahead and look and see what I want the most, counting down from what I want the least to what I want the most, even though I want all 15 games and I'm definitely buying them. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Starting with number 15, Sigma Star Saga Deluxe, coming out for the PS5, Switch, and PC. This one here kind of feels like a time capsule got cracked open, because this game brings back the cult Game Boy Advance classic that mashed up space shooter combat along with RPG exploration, and it's finally getting a remaster. Here you're going to be flying around in spaceships, blasting aliens, and then landing on planets to do like traditional 2D RPG segments, and it's pretty much a complete throwback to the Guardian Legend back on the NES that I loved. This deluxe edition promises redrawn sprites, rebalanced encounters, and an expanded story that actually explains what the hell was going on the first time. It's kind of niche, but I'm totally here for it. Number 14, The Starbites, coming out for the PS5, Switch, and Switch 2, as well as the PC in summer of next year. This game kind of looks like somebody took like Xenogears and they tossed it together with Rogue Galaxy and then a little bit of Star Ocean for good measure. It's actually a turn-based RPG where you explore the planet Bitter and then you take part in mech-based battles that reward exploiting enemy weaknesses and building up party synergy, kind of like an Octopath Traveler. There is tons of wastelands to explore on this blighted world as you try your best to pay off your debts and then leave the planet for good along with your friends. I actually got a chance to play this early for PAX West, and I've got to say, it was pretty frickin' sweet. I can't wait for the full release. Number 13, Ariana and the Elder Codex, coming out for the Nintendo Switch, PS4, and PS5 in July of next year. This here is giving me heavy side-scrolling action, which I adore, but it also has like that colorful alchemy, chill tone, and a little bit of emotional punch that I like too. You play as a young scholar, repairing broken codices and exploring ruins, with combat that mixes elemental tools as well as platforming, but as we all know, ancient gods, betrayal, and emotional trauma are definitely going to pop up too. The developers have said that they are actually going for exploration-first RPG design, which is music to my ears, because if you know anything about me, my favorite thing to do in RPGs is to explore. That's why I like world maps so much. So if you like old-school action RPG platformers with a bit of attitude, this one's worth tracking. And it's by Idea Factory too, which is shocking that I actually want it. Number 12, Edge of Memories, coming out for the PS5, Xbox, and PC in May of 2026. This kind of feels like the sleeper pick on the list. It's a brand new IP from the team that was behind Edge of Eternity, and it features real-time combat that mixes action and strategy in a world trapped between dreams and reality. And from what I've seen, like the demos shown at the various events and all that, it looks to be pretty cinematic as well as emotional, and it's kind of like the JRPG style action game that wants to be both pretty and dramatic. If this one actually nails the combat and the pacing, it could be a cult classic in the making, so hopefully they did learn their lesson the first time around from the failures of Edge of Eternity, since, they did fix that one after 6 months of complaining. Number 11, Tales of Xillia 2 Remastered. Okay, I know that this was divisive whenever it came out back on the PS3, but I've always had a soft spot for it. I liked it. I know that a lot of people just kind of bashed it because of the debt system and the silent protagonist and all that kind of stuff, but again, I didn't have a problem with it. I never really had to grind for money or anything else like that. It was just kind of like balanced around the debt system, so it was fine. What I really liked about it though was like the darker storyline. And this was one of the very few games that have actually legitimately shocked and surprised me and made me cry, which does not happen very often. And if you've played this one before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So now being able to see Ludger and Elle's journey redone in HD with modern quality of life features, that is something that I just cannot wait for. Number 10, Sacrifier. Coming out for the PS4, PS5, Xbox, Switch, and PC in late 2026. Let's be honest, I was looking forward to this game for many years. And then last year, the developers reached out to me. They were really nice and they gave me a copy for review. To say that I was disappointed was an understatement. I tore this game to shreds in my review. I eviscerated it. But I did that because I wanted it to succeed, not out of malice. They gave me a beta, and I, in turn, gave my unadulterated, honest feedback, hoping that they would take it to heart and make all the necessary changes. Because looking at it on the surface, it has all the right ingredients, and I really want to like it. So I hope that they took my feedback to heart, and that the recipe turns out right in the end. Number 9, Code Vein 2. Coming out for the PS5, Xbox, and PC on January the 30th of next year. The original Code Vein was basically like anime Dark Souls, and I was not ready for that. Whenever I picked it up, I thought it was going to be something more akin to like Scarlet Nexus, which I loved, but instead, I got the bait and switch. And that was my own fault, because I didn't do my research. I just followed the commenters who said, "David, you're going to love Code Vein. I can't believe you haven't played it yet." So then I played it, and I didn't love it. But yeah, now that I know what I'm getting myself into, I think that I can prepare for it and actually like it for what it is. Especially now that they're promising a more polished, narrative-driven follow-up with improved partner AI and smoother combat, along with like these time-shifting mechanics and larger explorable zones. So if Bandai Namco delivers on this and hopefully adds a difficulty selector, then I think that we'll have a surprise hit on our hands. Number 8, Deca Police. Coming out for the PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, and PC in April of 2026. Level 5. What are we going to do with you? This one has been delayed so many times as practically like a meme now. But Level 5 swears that it's finally coming out in April. I'll be the judge of that. This says that it's a cyber detective RPG where you solve crimes inside of like a virtual city simulation. It's kind of like Persona meets Ghost in the Shell, but with some goofy charm all sprinkled in. So you'll be investigating in real time and then battling rogue programs in flashy turn-based fights. They've kept this one on the slow cooker for a while, and they aren't pairing it with like anime tie-ins too, so I think that it will be something pretty ambitious, and we all know that Level 5 does not miss either. Number 7, The Adventures of Elliot, The Millennium Tales. Coming out for the PS5, Xbox, Switch 2, and PC in 2026. This here feels like Square's answer to like 2D Zelda, and I am totally here for it. I loved Zelda back in the day when I was growing up, because the first one on the NES really paved the way for me to enjoy more RPGs, games like Dragon Warrior and Final Fantasy that came out later on down the line. And then I loved the game on the SNES, I loved Link to the Past. And then I loved the games on the Game Boy, Link's Adventure, the Oracle games. But then, with the N64, I just couldn't do the 3D. To this day, I still can't do 3D anything. It's horrible, and I've hated every single 3D Zelda ever since. I just can't deal with it. However, anyway, I'm kind of getting off track here. Let's talk about, The Adventures of Elliot and not Zelda, because this thing looks like the bomb. It is a classic action-based combat with 7 different weapon types, varied companion mechanics, and a story that spans across time. It's a beautiful mix of Secret of Mana, but with like this modern HD 2D polish. Number 6, Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. Coming out for the Switch 2 sometime next year. So far, we've just gotten like one trailer, so we barely know anything about this yet, but I definitely noticed that tie-in with 3 houses, And all the early information that we have teases like gladiatorial, heroic games, tournament premises, along with new characters, and the series' of course trademark tactical grid, plus this new gimmick like a fate timeline weaving thing, where you can like manipulate the fate as you literally weave timelines together mid-battle to change all the outcomes. I just hope that this one focuses a lot more on like politics and intrigue and backstabbing and war and chaos drama, rather than like, tea parties and students wanting to cut classes drama. Number 5, Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflection. Coming out for the PS5, Xbox, Switch 2, and PC on March the 13th of next year. I've gotta say, regular, normal Monster Hunter and I, we don't get along all that well. But Monster Hunter Stories is a whole other ballgame. I loved the first 2 games, and 3 looks like the next evolution. The new cel-shaded art style is just like drop-dead gorgeous, and the story says that they're going a bit darker this time, as corrupted monsties and a fractured bond system change how your partner creatures behave in battle. The turn-based system is surprisingly deep, and there's more synergy skills, tag mechanics, and open-world hubs, so it might finally like bridge that gap between Pokemon-style collecting and like true Monster Hunter gameplay. So if the writing hits, this could be one of the best RPGs of the decade. Number 4, Suikoden Starleap, coming out for the mobile and PC sometime next year. Y'all have no idea how badly I've waited for another entry in the Suikoden series. I've been waiting since the PS2 era, for God's sakes. But now, we finally have a new one with Starleap! And yeah, it is mobile and PC only for now, but it's also built up by the veterans of the original Suikoden team, and they said if it does well, they're going to do real, true, new Suikodens! Hell yeah! This here takes place just a few years before the events of the first game, and then 3 years after the events of Suikoden 5. And it takes place east of the Scarlet Moon Empire during the same year that Edessa formed the Liberation Army. And it revolves around the Rune of Change and the enigmatic Sindar tribe. As a free-to-play game, there will be gacha, but they have stated time and time again that the gacha is only for building up your dream team. Like if you wanted to import a character from Suikoden 2 or 3 or something into your game, then you would have to play the gacha. But if you don't want to do that, you can still play it through 100% and get all 108 Stars of Destiny without ever touching the gacha. Number 3, the Persona 4 Remake. Tentatively coming out for the PS4, PS5, Xbox, and PC. Okay, real talk. This is why I went on my little tangent back in the introduction of the video, because I ain't got no idea if this game is coming out in 2026, and more than likely it isn't, but it has been announced, so I'm including it here. Sue me. It's been rebuilt in the same engine as Persona 3 Reload and has fully voiced side content, modern visuals, and re-recorded music. And we all know Persona 4's core strengths. That small town mystery, the unforgettable cast, and the social link systems. They're all being marketed as preserved, but also retooled for modern players. This one here is a big deal for fans who want Golden's heart with next-gen presentation and possible new content. Because hopefully Atlus has learned its lesson from Persona 3 Reload, and they make this one the absolute definitive version of the game, and they don't leave anything else on the cutting room floor. Number 2, Legend of Heroes Trails Beyond the Horizon, for the PS4, PS5, Switch, Switch 2, and PC on January the 15th of 2026. Another year! Another Trails game that consumes my life. And after the absolute, unmitigated disaster that was Daybreak 2, Falcom has mercifully decided to actually, move the story along. Huh, what a concept! And Trails Beyond the Horizon continues that Calvert arc, wrapping up dozens of storylines with more politics, betrayals, tea parties, and, boob hot tub talk. If you're like me and you've been playing these games ever since Trails in the Sky released way back in 2010, this here is basically the beginning of the end, because Kondo himself has come out and said that, hey, after Calvard's done, we're 90% done with the series. So I cannot wait to see how they wrap it all up. I just do hope that they do it correctly, and that the whole story ends up going out with a bang, and not with a whimper, like Game of Thrones. And finally, number 1, to no one's surprise, Dragon Quest VII Reimagined, for the PS5, Xbox, Switch, Switch 2, and PC on February the 5th of 2026. Talk about coming out of left field. We all knew that they were redoing all the Dragon Quest games, but I just kind of assumed that after the Erdrick trilogy, they'd move on to the Zenithon trilogy, like normal people would do. But no, they skipped 4, 5, and 6, and they went straight to 7. And they're not doing it in HD 2D either, and it's not just like a straight-up remake. It is a full-blown reimagining, using a pretty neat art style, very reminiscent of Fantasian. This here was actually the #1 best-selling PlayStation game in Japan. Not the #1 best-selling RPG, the #1 best-selling game of all time on the original PlayStation in Japan was this game here. And I personally adored it whenever I got it 25 years ago in college. And now they are trimming the fat, revamping the job system, and giving the world like this seamless 3D makeover. And apparently, as they are cutting out the fat, they're also adding in brand new storyline sequences, so there's even more to do this time around. But as you all know, I will be the judge of that whenever I finally get around to playing it this February. So thank you all so much for watching. That there is the 15 most anticipated RPGs that are coming out next year, hopefully. But now I want to hear from y'all. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What games are you looking forward to? Let me know in the comments, and as always, have a good day.